Hello and welcome to the SpinCycle podcast. I'm your host Charles, and as always I'll be joined by Sid, and maybe sometimes a third opinion too. In this show we try to wash away rhetoric and narrative to find just the core nuggets of truth. We hope you enjoy the episode.
That's perfect. Get my hair up a nice bit. Right. We're in business. I think everything's on.
Go on then.
All right, well, we're here, we're back again. This time we're in person as well, which is much nicer, definitely. Indeed. For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like you got in your hand.
A little black coffee.
Well, I got myself a white coffee because yours is strong. That's strong coffee you made. I told you it was fine with the instant stuff, but now you have to have fancy. Is it a French press, right?
No, cafetiere. Cafetiere. I actually don't know if that is a French press or not. I can't lie to you.
I'm not a coffee nut. I know that coffee exists. I drink it. That's about it, really.
I mean, I know all the types of coffee. Worked in a cafe for too long.
Oh yeah, I'm the same. It was just so. Do you want like fancy coffee or do you want a normal one? That's basically about it, really.
I'm loving the suits as well. Loving the suits.
Having a choice.
Yeah.
Now we've got a new uniform on for us. Make sure we're looking classy.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
It is a boiling hot day though. It is very for sure. If we weren't in person with you, I'd definitely like.
That is true.
These trousers would be off. That's what I'm saying, because like I need some air and like a fan right there would be perfect, beautiful.
That is true. Do you want me to turn the fan on actually?
We'll survive.
We'll survive.
If it becomes too bad, then we'll turn it off. Right?
Yeah, just give me a little if you need it.
Yeah, I want a point like that.
Yeah.
Right, shall we explain what we're doing today?
Yes, yeah. So today we've got a bit of a different format actually, which I think is going to be kind of our new regular format from now on. So we've got 3 different topics that we're going to discuss. The first one is topic that I picked out. It's about the UK riots recently. Kind of last week, they've more died out now, but yeah, last week kind of fallout from that kind of.
Me, I'm going to do a more sort of philosophical one. I'm going to do on basically the philosophy and the thought process behind the recent growing trend of nothing ever happens. So talk about that and see, is it right? Is it wrong? What can we do to counter it or promote it? So see about it.
Yeah. And then the last one actually is really interesting, and that's on China and Russian kind of relations, and really looking into how the Russian-Ukraine war has affected, I guess, philosophical, not their actual policy, but like what we think.
Yes, I want to talk about, are we setting a good example with the show? Here's the West fighting against a foreign power. Are we showing it with too easy? We're too hard? We're not enough? What's missing, definitely?
Yeah.
And you know what the best thing about this after? Little post show. We have some comment reading.
Yes. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we have we have a couple of
comments. We have comments, responses. These are pretty good.
So we got 2 comments actually from one person, both on our immigration video, but very, very passionate, very long comment, and we're gonna enjoy going through that. It was a really good comment.
What we need.
Beautiful comment. And I think what I actually like most about it, and I replied to it saying this, is that I loved how it was exactly what we want this podcast to be. It was rational. It wasn't personal. It wasn't offensive. It was just, here are the facts. You know, it wasn't anything racist. It wasn't unkind. It was just their opinion.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that. I mean, I hope to get as many comments as we can so we can do more community interaction. But if they're this caliber of reactions, I'll go for it, honestly. Yeah. It's better that than like a 2-sentence thing saying you're wrong and a dick. I mean,
yeah, exactly. And if we get enough, I mean, we can end up doing a whole. We get enough comments.
Really fun. Get to know who listens. And they get to know us better at a deeper level.
Absolutely, yeah. So please leave your comments if you
we
have
haven't
any.
even started. Nothing to comment on, but yes, please do it immediately. Before we start, do you want to put that light on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think we're ready? Or it's still recording, right?
Yes.
Right. Shall we step into our first topic then?
Let's go for it. Right. So up on the screen here, I've got a let's start off with actually the response of it. I think is kind of the best bit to start.
To work our way back.
Yeah. Especially as we're kind of in the response stages now more. What I've got here is, so a lot of it, and that's so interesting for the UK because I believe we either have the most CCTV cameras for the population, like per person, or the second most, only behind Singapore.
I believe it's with the most in the Western world because Singapore's not. But I think overall worldwide, it's
We're still
second-
like second or
Wait,
third.
I don't
Yeah.
I think it's all because I'm quite so used to it. Never think about how much CCTV is out there, but it's absolutely everywhere. If you
It's
stop
everywhere.
and look, it is literally everywhere.
There's nowhere to hide, and but more than that as well. Like, you use your driving license for anything, your cards, your credit cards, anything like that. You're picked up. It's all monitored, which is quite a scary thought. But I guess in this case, in my opinion, 700 people have been arrested so far. That's
700.
Incredible amount.
Incredible is an incredibly large number for sure.
Incredibly large number. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not too sure if arresting 700 people is a thing to be sort of applauded. I try to minimize that sort of stuff. If it feels awful that anonymity is dead in the UK.
Oh, 100%.
It's gone. And I mean, I always see positive and stuff. I remember, what was it? It must have been about a year ago. There was some people trying to pass legislation where you have to have ID to sign up for social media. And that's very vehemently against.
Well, and actually also, if you remember the last Labour government, first thing that Blair lost vote on, essentially the Labour definitely on it. They're normally just.
I think it's because the more the more anarchist conservatives shut up and deal with it, whereas the left, they're not afraid to voice their opinion, and I respect that. You want to say, let's try and minimize this sort of stuff, try and return to the fat of the land or whatever. That is, they actually say it and they mean it and they try to do something about it, which can be nothing but applauded.
No, exactly, yeah. And so anyway, coming back to this, it's really interesting how quickly he's done it. And I don't know how you feel about kind of the response times to it and his actions taken. But one thing, like, no one can very, very quickly. I mean, 700 arrests made already. We only decided on this topic a week ago, right? The police are working quicker. Now that's kind of incredible speeds and doing stuff like, so he opened the courts up 20, that is going through at rapid speeds.
Yes, I heard that they were. My issue is, I heard that they're opening up sort of like a separate court thing to get this done, quick, swift judgment, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
My worry with that is what's the it's drumhead trial, I think was the correct term, where middle of a battlefield, get a drumhead, have them sit down, punishments, swift, very little evidence needed, boom, boom, done, swift and severe. And I'm not for that. I'm making sure everyone's getting their the correct time and time allotted for them, make sure they're processed correctly. I don't want it to be you are at this this location and you are also 50-year-old man, therefore you're guilty. Like, that's not enough, mate. You know what I mean? I'm able to make sure that they're being proper, and what they've been charged with is get charged for a crime if you're actually doing something violent, right? If you're doing something violent, yeah, boom, done. Get it done. Prove that they're being violent, whatever. But if it's like you attended the rally, therefore, no, that's not enough.
I think that's definitely the kind of the concerns are the going through it. So I think actually that's why opening the courts 24/7 works so well, because that isn't about saying let's speed it up by giving them less time to argue in court. It's just saying we're going to handle more court cases per day. And that means stuff like judges, stuff like that, they're losing all their holiday time. Like, they can't take holiday, they can't be taking personal days and stuff like that. But I think that's a better approach than just going, these guys aren't going to stand trial. If we see them at a protest, you're gone, kind of thing. That's a better approach.
Yes, sure, I can agree on that point.
So yeah, but I think, the arrests really are probably the biggest kind of talking point, like the biggest, very big.
I assume they're saying that they're voicing their opinions and stuff, so therefore, what's wrong with that? I assume that's what they're talking about, at least.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that they're talking about the fact that they went to a protest. However, the people that are being arrested and time again. So actually, I've just trying to find where it is on Musk's Twitter.
Yeah, I'm very hesitant on using the word rioting.
Are you?
Yeah. Well, you got to think about. Okay, we've got to think back. What year was this going to be? This was 2020 George Floyd stuff. When did they? Because it was usually if it's a left wing source, they'd say it's a protest. If it's a right wing source, boom, it's a riot. End of, just like that. And some of them were protests, some of them were riots, and we've got to make sure we've got to understand and be very very particular on what is what.
Absolutely. For me, the reason where I always define the difference is in the intention. So for me, I class riots when the intention of it is to create fear and to create a sense of anarchy. Right. So if you're protesting by sitting on a motorway, you are creating some anarchy.
Yeah.
But I don't believe the intention there is to create fear in people's lives. People aren't going, oh no, is Just Stop Oil coming into town? Right?
They go,
but people,
oh God.
They're like, oh, right, they're here. Right. But stuff like, I was out when there was protests recently in Brighton, and I was actually out at the pub that night. And my mum was texting me being like, can you come home, please? Like, she was like, go home. Don't want you out. Now, for me, that you wouldn't get that reaction if you found that, I don't know, Just Stop Oil were sitting on a road. You wouldn't be going, it's not safe for you. I want you to come home. And that, for me, is the difference between rioting and protesting is, do people feel safe to be around it? There are some BLM protests I wouldn't have wanted to be near, and I would consider.
You can see when I say that sometimes a violent response is the only response available for the needy and the people who feel they aren't being heard. They feel that the only recourse is violence, and that is it's a deplorable thing to happen. I mean, obviously, I try to minimize violence as much as we can, but sometimes it's going to be inevitable. And really, if violence is happening, you've got to sit down and listen to them. So they start violence, and we're going to then go, all right, we're here to listen, sit down, and talk about it. We're not going to respond with violence in kind. We're here to sit down, talk, discuss what's happening. If they feel like they're not being fairly treated, they're going to have to try and respond violently. We've got to try and minimize that. And then if it's happened at all, they've got to go, what are we doing wrong? Make them want to have to attack, feel like they have to be violent to get their voices heard.
Potentially. But I do think you also have the issue of, we live in a democracy and we have...
That's an issue.
But we live in a democracy, so everyone has a say, right? And everyone does get their voice heard. So I think, this whole week, right, it's been thousands of people have been out protesting about this.
Tens of thousands.
That's not even a percentage of our population. Why should we have to then take a knee as a country to an incredibly small majority? If you were living in a shared house, 6 of you, and I don't know, it would be like if one of your roommate's girlfriends was like, I want you to start cleaning it like this. You'd be like, well, I'm sorry, but like, no. We can talk about this as a house and have a conversation, but just one tiny subsection doesn't get to make rules for everyone. In my opinion, no matter how violent they are. I don't think, it's not about, I can talk louder than you, therefore I get more.
But to add to your sort of analogy, is it an analogy? Yes, an analogy. Yeah. It would be, so that's they what was it? One of the roommates' girlfriend is making it vocal, but the boyfriend had been talking to the girlfriend about being like this for a while. Like, obviously, only the truly emboldened people are actually doing this stuff, and there must be okay. So the key points of this stuff is they want to sort of have a conversation, to talk about immigration. Yes, that's always been a hot topic issue for many a time. What was it? Nearly 80 or 60 seats won by Reform, and their key platform point was
5 seats. Oh yeah, they nearly won. No, they nearly won 12.
I swore it was more.
They came second in about 80 seats. Yeah, but not that. That wasn't like, that doesn't mean close. But they came second in about 80 seats. Clearly,
that immigration is an issue for a large.
They won 22% of the voter share. I believe.
22%. So 22% think that immigration is a key issue. So I was going to say about 20% of people feel like this would have sympathies for what is happening here. 20% enough to bring to a conversation, and definitely 20% are voting, saying that immigration is the number 1 priority. Yeah. Then what? Another 40% are saying that immigration is the number 2 priority. It clearly is a big enough issue. Of course, only a very small population are actually emboldened enough to make it heard and known on the streets.
100%. And see, this is the thing, right? As I said about the BLM program, some I'll be okay with, some I'm not. And that is the exact same for this. That I've seen videos where they're standing in streets making chants. Go for it. I think that is a right that should be protected. I think we should be allowed to protest, and I think you want to voice your opinion. However, I've seen ones where they're throwing. There was a video of the woman who lit a wheelie bin, like, you know, ones that you get outside flats, the massive ones. Lit that on fire, chucked it at a line of policemen, like rolled it at policemen. That's not voicing your concerns. That's not expressing. I've seen cases. So I think one of the more notable cases is someone who got years in prison. Can't remember the amount, but years. And people are going, this is ridiculous. This is crazy. How come they're getting that much? They stole about £4,000 worth of, I can't even remember what it was. I think it was of something in particular though. Vapes. £4,000 worth of vapes.
I thought you were talking about the BLM stuff. This is what happened recently.
Yeah,
recently. Yes. I heard about this in the news this morning.
Stealing £4,000 worth of vapes is not protesting. That's looting.
They're protesting the ban of vapes they're trying to implement. That's what they're trying to do. Clearly can't do that. What are you going to do with £4,000 worth of vape? Because, hey, do you want to buy £1,000 worth of vape? They're clearly stolen. And you can't smoke that many, all right?
Well, I mean, maybe you would last a weekend or something.
I've got my day busy. I want to smoke all the flavors like that. So it's sort of like
mega vape,
like a sommelier. It's like a sommelier of a different vape. I'm getting hints of this. Very delicious.
Definitely. I think yeah, but you see stuff like that. So I've actually got a tweet up here on screen. This is something Elon Musk retweeted.
Oh, it's Andy No. Yes, I'm aware of Andy No.
Yeah, but Musk retweeted it. William Nelson Morgan, a 69-year-old retiree with no criminal history, is the oldest the oldest person. He was sentenced to 2 years and 8 months in prison for refusing to disperse and holding a stick at a library riot. So, see, for me, the issue here is the framing. Right? They start off, oh, poor 69-year-old man. Look at him, like he's just a cute little old man. Why is he being persecuted? And he got 2 years and 8 months for refusing to disperse a riot that was happening inside of a library. But riots had broken into the library. They were causing violent outbursts in the library, and he was brandishing a stick. Yeah, but what could be considered a weapon, right? If I started whacking you with a stick, you're going to call that a weapon. and then the police said, disperse immediately, and he went, no. Yes, you should face jail time for that. Yes, you should be arrested.
69-year-old with a stick, let's be honest. Like, they're not going to hurt me. I might just be honest.
Well, they may not hurt you, but
I feel 2.5 years is a lot more. 69-year-old, you know what I mean?
2 years and 8 months.
I feel like it should be like jail systems somehow changed, maybe where okay, so look, the average life expectancy, 75 years, and so they're going to take what?
Potentially his last couple of good years.
Yeah, half of his good years. I think it should be some sort of thing of like, if you're older, maybe something to do like be more smaller sentences because it's more a bigger percentage of your life. It's way too many educated. It's quite unfair to the younger generations.
That's a really interesting belief system, like percentage of life left rather than
of estimated life left. Not going to look at the point of like, well, we did say you do 10 years off, 10 years jail because it'd be half your life, and you made 11 years, so we're going to have to kill you.
That's an interesting thought. I mean, I don't really believe in jail time generally, right? Like, you know, I'm quite a big advocate that we should be using other methods rather than jail. However, that is how right now under the system, that is how we should be treating it. And the framing that, oh, he was just a little man's protesting. He wasn't. The police told him to disperse. So if a policeman came up to you and said, drop that stick and disperse immediately, and you went no, and you were waving it around still, yes, they should arrest you. Like, yes, they should arrest you.
I can see myself doing that, but just because I'm a dick. Is there any chance you can there must be some sort of video at all? We can sort of look up, if you quickly search up a 69-year-old.
What's his name?
Like, I think there must be some video footage of it. If it's like he's holding a stick like that, just casually, then yeah, maybe like that's a bit much. But if he's there, hold a stick high up in the air and stuff, then maybe I can sort of see the sort of reasoning for what close to half is good.
There's no video of him doing it, as far as I can
Any
see.
photos of him doing it? Or is it just...
No. There's photos of him being arrested.
Well, I assume probably the next week to a month we'll probably get the footage. Because I assume all the police also have body cams on. I assume. I would assume so.
Yeah. Well, there's footage of him being arrested. The court showed of him being arrested. He said, "I'm English. I'm 70. All right, leave me alone." He can also be seen to shout, "Get off me,"
which is pretty good defense, to be fair. What is he going to do? He's 70 years old.
The police officer attempting to arrest him, though, this reply is actually pretty funny. He said, "And why are you here?"
He wants to make his opinion heard.
But to be fair, if he's going, "I'm 70, get off me, don't manhandle me," why are you rioting? If you're too frail to be arrested, you're too frail to riot.
Well, it's a Mott and Bailey of he's good enough to riot, but he instantly retreat to the "I'm old and frail." The second that he has to confront himself a bit.
I mean, so also he had previously admitted violent disorder and carrying a kosh. What's it
called? AOSH.
COS.
In the sentence.
Carrying a kosh during a riot.
Put a picture of a kosh on screen right now.
He's previously admitted. So that tweet said, with no criminal record, which he doesn't. He's not been convicted of it. But he has previously admitted that he has committed violent disorder.
A kosh is a thick, heavy stick or barred user weapon. A thick stick.
By stick, a thick, heavy stick used as a weapon.
Well, I doubt it would have been twig. Let's be honest, it's not worth picking up.
But again, I think it really shows the language narrative. And these are people. I mean, you said you know this guy.
Yes, Andy. No, I believe he got famous probably about 2016, 17 for covering lots of stuff with the Antifa riots. He's originally an American journalist. So
is he American?
He lives in America, I think, or at least he does majority stuff in America. I believe he's from Southeast Asia, I believe. Right. I can't remember what country it would be.
And so I think this is actually a really good. Definitely, it's really nice. Why the fuck are so many out? Like literally, just leave us alone.
Do you want my quick?
Yeah, go on.
The reason why is pretty simple. They have a massive problem with immigration too. That the south border has been leaking quite a lot. And there's lots of people going in, and big problem. I'm not sure of the exact numbers. I don't know if what for us we got. Is it 200,000 a year illegal? Got coming in. I'm not sure about America. We've got a much bigger border. It's much easier to cross an English channel. There must be more, and there must be a problem for them. It's like, all right, if England starts to do it, then it sort of emboldens them to then start doing their demonstrations on the street. I'm not sure if you've seen any demonstrations on the street in the US yet.
Well, there's always been kind of anti-immigration. But the thing is, we've had anti-immigration protests before. There was literally one 2 weeks ago that was saying we want our streets back, anti-immigration. But never had they attempted to burn down mosques. Like, look, so this article, UK riots latest. Thousands take part in anti-racism protests. Petrol bombs thrown at mosques in racially motivated incidents. So people are throwing petrol bombs at stuff. People are hitting police officers. I saw a guy that got jailed and being like, "This is outrage. I did nothing wrong." He was sentenced for attacking a police officer. So he did something wrong. These people, they're kicking down windows. They're burning shops. They burnt down a citizens advice center. Which the irony of that, anyone that doesn't know, citizens advice centers are where you go when you're being prosecuted and you can't afford a lawyer. So they're literally destroying their own means of getting defense in court.
Yeah.
Unless they want to pay for a lawyer, which is always crazy amounts of money, or what will be a very clear-cut case. So even if you were incredibly wealthy, they burnt that down. They've tried burning down police stations. That's not protecting our streets.
Well, actually, again, I can take me back to BLM riots where they, I believe, Chicago, I think, they tried to burn down a police station. They happened quite a lot of time. But I think they actually had to abandon that police thing because there was so many bombs thrown in it. And of course, I know my French news. I know my French news sources. And petrol bombs being thrown at religious institutions is not uncommon. It happens a lot.
But it should be, though. And I think we can,
as an English
person, I will stand by that France definitely has a Islamophobia problem.
Well, it's not mosques being burned down. It's the churches being burned down. It's been a big issue for a while. I believe it's one every 2 weeks was a stat last year. I think it was something like that.
Well, stuff like that is shocking. I think I want to live in a country where you can have whatever religion you want. Also, yeah, pray in peace, exactly. And you can have a religion. If you want to build a building, have that religion. If it isn't inciting violence or being actively violent, and it is tolerant towards certain views that we have in our law, like the right, how we accept LGBTQ communities, stuff like that. As long as it respects all of that, believe what you want to believe.
Your religion must be able to fit within the confines of English common law.
Exactly.
Anything else, it's like, well, my religion says this, the laws don't agree. Yep. You've got to do what you've got to understand what takes priority here.
And there is potentially some issues with religions like Islam, because they can be quite opposed to gay rights and stuff like that.
And same with women as well.
Yeah, and I will always stand against that. But that doesn't make anyone who is a Muslim an inherently bad person. Doesn't mean they're ruining our country. There are, putting it simplest possible way, right? There are arseholes everywhere, every religion, no matter what. This isn't, this isn't, I mean, for example, the attacker, right? The stabbings that started this whole thing. So it started because this man came in, this boy, I should say, 17. He went into what was like a dance party, Taylor Swift dance.
Taylor Swift, that was it, yes.
Yeah. And he killed 3 children. Right?
Yes.
Brutally, stabbed them, right? Absolutely disgusting. And because he's 17, the police don't release his information, right? Or to protect the person, right? And so the theory started up that he was a Muslim, right? And a fake name started and everything like that. And the police, they did release it, right? Starmer said you should release it. The judge said we'll release it. No, not Starmer, actually. Yeah, it was just the judge said we'll release it in the interest of public safety. It's a 17-year-old boy who was born in Cardiff.
Yep.
Has lived in the UK. His parents are from Rwanda.
Yes.
Right? So his parents are immigrants, but he was born in the UK.
So he's the second generation, am I correct? The first generation, never remember.
Second
generation, yep.
Yeah, second. And he's black, not Middle Eastern.
Yep.
And he's Christian, not
I have
Muslim.
seen tweets, of course these are just tweets, and I'm not sure if I believe them at all. I wanted to ask you more, because you're the expert on this one. Tweets where apparently something to do with footage or audio of him saying Allahu Akbar. Now, first, that's not enough evidence to prosecute anyway, because even if it was true, because what was it? That thing in Australia where it was the guy with the gun, Christchurch shooting, where he just said subscribe to PewDiePie, just because it's funny, and that was enough to condemn PewDiePie, which is, he could have done it as a false flag operation, if anything, if he was actually to say that and stuff. Who knows what actually happened?
Yeah, maybe.
But have you seen anything about them saying Allahu Akbar?
I actually haven't. I haven't, and I haven't seen any news sites reporting on that. So there is a lot of conspiracy theories floating around.
Could be misinformation. Could not be.
That is actually one of the biggest things at the moment is the problems with Twitter. So a lot of the conversation is about these protests have turned into riots. Because they're fueled with so much misinformation that if you were getting that misinformation, I don't really blame you, because you're there thinking my country, I need to defend it.
Yes.
And I respect the patriotism, I want to protect the country, but it is misinformation that spread. I mean, there's conspiracy theories about him not even being 17, and they just wanted to keep his identity secret because
of it.
Why? There's so many things that happen. I mean, there was that man 3 months ago running around London with a sword.
Oh yeah.
White man killed kids. Killed, I think, one child he killed. No one cared. Well, we cared, but no protests, no riots, because it was a white man that killed a black kid. So we were like, oh well, that's horrible crime. It's a crime. And then this happens, and we go, It's our whole country is being torn down.
I think that I would probably very much easily say, if you ask anyone there, they'd probably say it's a straw that broke the camel's back. Though they're not protesting just on this one it's mass killing, I guess, because it's over 3 of mass killing. It's probably like, this is sort of, here's our issues with this, and here's like all the things that we've got passionate about. This is the inciting incident. I think you ask any of them, they're not going to say they're protesting just for those 3 kids. I very much doubt most of those people sort of care about it, because I don't know. That's the issue. It's very, very awful, but we do not care unless they actually know the person.
No, absolutely. And I just think, though, people that are stealing from out trying to protect your country and your family.
Think about the image you're portraying. You want to portray a good image of, here's us, we're nice sort of not gentle, I guess, but well respectable people, and these are our concerns and our demands. Whereas if it's like, yeah, look at us, we're thugs, here's our points and demands, no one's going to take you seriously.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, I think we need to have conversations about this. And you know what we are? As I said earlier, Reform have 5 seats in Parliament. They have a voice in Parliament to push anti-immigration. We talk about immigration so much more than we did 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Our conversations about immigration are going up. This isn't...
But I think it's also because immigration is also going up in those past 20 years as well.
Well, exactly, yeah. But this isn't some underground issue that's being hidden and covered over. We have a lot of politicians like Starmer are saying we need to reduce the amount of immigration.
Yeah, it's everyone admit that immigration is high. Then after it is, they always admit it's high. Then they say it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. But the fact that immigration is high is not a contested issue. It's proven fact. Everyone can agree to that point.
So then, and they're acting like it's some big cover up that they need to. That doesn't make sense to me.
But clearly, they believe that the news that they're seeing isn't showing the heart of the issue or showing the issue enough.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking at an article here, actually. So Starmer will be judged. So I think that's really interesting. How do you? Because obviously, I'm quite.
You are
campaigned for him, stuff like that. But if you, I would love to ask your opinion. How do you think he's come across?
Well, first off, I want to preface that I have very, very poor opinion on politicians in general. I believe that someone who spends their entire time making themselves try to be liked is an inherently a dodgy person not to trust. I'm going to say that that's my personal bias with any politician. So I'm not going to be the best faith interpreter of any politician. But with Keir Starmer, I feel that I can very easily see the argument of him being two-tiered for sure. Especially that very telling clip of the difference between him and his response to 2020 protests and riots compared to what was happening at the moment. They're both two different things, and people are saying, "Oh yeah, it's the same issue, just the races are swapped." It's not the same issue. There's quite a lot of difference, but he's got to. Well, don't be soft on crime, but don't be too harsh, and make sure people are feeling that their voices are getting heard. Otherwise, they're not going to stop.
And how do you?
Not the best. All I see is all the news talking about it, and all they do is only condemn this horrible action, and they're not talking about why is it happening. What do they want to talk about? And they're celebrating. People are celebrating in the news. This person got arrested. Yippee! I'm like, sort of arrests are a sort of event where one of our own had to be sent away from our society because they couldn't be trusted. That is, every time someone's arrested, that is like, we've got to realize that one of our own people, we can't trust them at any point. That is not a good thing.
Sad thing. Yeah,
it's a solemn event every time this happens. We should take that into account. That every arrest shows another failing of our people to abide by our law, or our law failing to abide by our people.
And well, yeah, and ask us
again. I want to also preface that all the laws don't respect the people themselves. That's what I also want to make sure, because I'm always going to say, just because it's the state or it's the law does not make it inherently right or wrong.
Right.
Yeah. Make sure that is very, very clear. It could be, these laws and you're following them perfectly does not mean you're in the right.
Yeah. No.
Only following orders is, of course, always never used as a correct as a good defense.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I just real quick before we move on, because I feel like we should move on soon.
Of course.
Just really quickly, what do you think about Elon Musk's tweet? And this is a direct quote, by the way. I've written it down, reading it out. it's 2030 in the UK, and you're being.
I believe it's, well, quite obviously, one, it's a joke, definitely, that's for sure. It's a joke based in what they believe as a sort of, here's a trend of what's happening, all right? The trend of what's happening, and here's what the end point will be. Because at the moment, there's been lots of issues for the past probably 4 years, I'd say. I mean, 4 years that I've noticed of the UK police spending more time worrying about posts online than like burglaries. Like, what was it? I can't remember who it was, but someone admitted basically, if there's no prints, no camera, you've been burgled, you're on your own, really. Nothing you can do about it. But if you listen to like a limerick or something, you listen to like a limerick, or like, what was it? I believe it was if you were liking your limerick on Facebook, police visits, or someone. I think it might have been Australia or it was the UK, but they're both Commonwealth, so they're both quite similar. Of I think it was a police officer and a therapist will sort of force their way into someone's house to sort of discuss their social media posting, which is that shouldn't be what the police are caring about. They should care about.
You have a warrant.
Yeah, you got to think about the priority of crime. If no other crime is happening, you want to start doing. Like, I guess you can sort of say the word sort of thought crime-ish. Or what if crimes about people's opinions? They're not acting on it; they're just stating their opinions. Like if there's no other crime, be sure go ahead. I mean, obviously, I'm going to say I detest that because I think people should be able to have any opinion they want and should be able to express it. And then usually people can express back that you're wrong, you're a prick if they disagree or whatever. But there are bigger issues at the moment, and people are worried about what 69-year-olds are thinking. It's not what the police should be prioritizing at all.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Anyway, should we take a quick little break?
Let's take a quick break and go to our next topic. All right, so now we've got to talk about my topic, obviously. This is going to be on a sort of rising trend now where people in their 20s, our sort of age, and older as well, they believe nothing ever happens. And I can understand it. You can understand it too, where a big event happens, like in the past week, economic collapse, Iran sort of been gearing up for war, and what's the other one? Just give me another news story. It's been massive.
Riots, like we just discussed.
Sort of race war 2K24. Nothing ever happens. Now this is very easily you can see. This sort of comes from, I believe it was 2014 when it first sort of started. There was a I believe an economist who sort of coined the term to begin with, but this sort of now gained its prevalence. Definitely on the right wing. I believe it started in through 4chan, where no matter what happens, nothing truly ever happens. On the main one, where I think it is because no matter what you do, right? You start a day, clock in, clock out. Economic collapse, you're clocking in, you're clocking out. War in the Middle East, clocking in, clocking out. And that sort of breeds that feeling where truly nothing ever happens, no matter how hard we want things to happen. Because I believe, personally, I don't know about you, people want something to happen because they've got a boring life. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, so one thing I remember pointing out ages ago, that basically humans, we all know we're not at the start of human history, right? We all know we're not the first humans. So we all like to believe we're the last. Every single culture, every single society, and I believe every single generation thinks for some reason or another, it must be special because we're not the first.
Yeah, like even I was talking to my father yesterday, and he's very sort of people who use this nothing ever happens, they'd use the term black pill, which comes from the Matrix and all that sort of. Black pill is like everything is the worst absolutely possible, and
which black pill isn't actually in the Matrix.
No, it's not. It's sort of the pill.
Basically, it describes an ideology of you're fucked. You're always going to be fucked. You can't change it.
You know what? If you think like that, it'll come true. As simple as it's just you think like that all the time. Yes, then everything will get all fucked because you don't want to think about the future because we're the last generation. So therefore, there's no point in us even bothering to fix the environment or fix all these things that are the issues at the moment. No, there's no point because we're the last generation. We're fucked. Humans are too greedy. Humans are too bad. And then what this is sort of saying, nothing ever happens. Now, this also, actually, to be fair, it could be for good things. Like this massive rise in AI. This is what we've been saying for like 20, 30 years. I can't wait. We have robots going everywhere. Brilliant. Now we've got this AI. It can mimic a human consciousness. It can mimic human consciousness very well. Has it changed society that much?
Yeah, I mean, there's There's definitely an argument that it has, but I think, as you said, I think there's a lot of like, you can be like, well, yeah, because it's boosted productivity and it will change the workforce, yada, yada, yada. But at the very same time, we aren't going to have everyone starving to death because there's zero jobs. We aren't going to, that on a large scale, I guess, I guess nothing does happen, especially in the short term.
I feel, that is one of the main other issues as well, is the reason why we think this, nothing ever happens, is because economic collapse, nothing happens on that day. We'll feel these sort of effects a month, a year from now, maybe 10 years from now. We'll feel the effects of what happened now. And this stuff will be reported on in the future of, this is why whatever happens now it has happened. It's because of what happened then.
Yeah, and I guess, so there's even more than that, right? Of like, 2008 happened. But next year, it was the same, right? People had lost jobs, there was difficulties, all this kind of things, people in different jobs, etc. Capitalism, we still had, the UK still had the same government in charge. We had a different leader. America had, I don't know if they changed leader. Like, do you know what I mean? There's a lot that still the same. America was still the global superpower, all of that stuff.
Yeah, to reiterate, really, I feel that people don't think that what happens truly affects them on a personal level, because the change is always so incremental. No matter what you're doing, you're clocking in, you're clocking out, and that's all you've got to do with your life. And it's awful. That sort of feeling.
Yeah.
I think this nothing ever happens is a defeatist attitude. Is there to counter the defeatist attitude of the world is always going to end constantly. I feel like, I do actually agree with your point very much so. Every single time, we always feel like we are the last generation. We are going to die this time. And our fault is, well, not usually our fault. It's usually our parents' generation's fault as to why we're going to die.
Yeah. But yeah, and actually, that's a really good point of that it might be a response to things like climate change. This sense of impending doom, the fact that we live in a world, high tension, stuff like that, and yet there's this response of, but nothing ever happens. And in a way, maybe that's quite interesting, of kind of, don't have existential dread about climate change. Don't be worried about, is capitalism on the downward trend, our lives going to get worse from here. Nothing ever happens, I
feel that is too far in one direction, and the other one is too far in the other direction. Like me with my environment stuff, of course, I like to do my nuclear engineering. That's my degree. That's what I'm passionate about, is nuclear energy and change. And I feel that telling people, don't worry about the environment, nothing's going to happen, that is too far, all right? Because things are going to happen, and we do have to mitigate it, but we shouldn't go and feel that we are going to die immediately. There's nothing we can do to change it, because it's too nebulous out there, because we can't cut out all these emissions. We will muddle through. It will be by the skin of our teeth. I feel, as I would explain actually, is I was talking to someone yesterday actually in a pub, just chatting to them, and I felt like, describe humanity's history every single time is us narrowly avoiding disaster. Every single time. Just enough. And every single time there's always these disasters up on the edge, and every single time we think, this is it. This is the one where we're not going to survive. Even what Ice Age, very old ago, there was just about 10,000 of us left. There was way more before, and we survived.
I remember hearing about it.
And we muddled through. Like ozone layer, we were on the edge of complete collapse. That's recent memory for enough people, and we muddled through. We survived. We just about avoided this catastrophe by the skin of our teeth. I think so, at least. What do you think?
I'm an optimist at heart, and I think that I always have this. I think we're creatures problems. Like a great example, have another tripod. We used books. We didn't have anything to hold our mics with. We hold it with our hands. Like, we work around it. I think that's what humans do best. It's why we're the top of the food chain. Why we are where we are is because our ability to adapt and improvise. And see, that would be my main, I would say, is at our core nature, right? and you look at what humans are, nothing ever happened, we wouldn't be so good at changing and adapting.
We're the best creature on this planet to where we don't adapt ourselves, we adapt the environment around to suit us. And
That's true.
a lot of the things as well I want to say is, okay, quick fire question.
Yeah.
Do you think we should service the planet Earth, or the planet Earth should service us?
Oh,
tough question. That always is.
That is not a quick fire question.
A quick yes or no. Impossible to answer yes or no very easily.
Yeah, yes. No, because you asked me two things.
Okay, that's not a yes or no question, is it?
Not yes or no.
Oh god, Lord.
No, so I would say we have to look after our planet, but I would say I wouldn't say either. I'd say we have to look after our planet. Yeah. I would also say that our survival is more the way the world works, the way ecosystems work, the way nature works. And I know we're a bit above nature, so controversial to draw comparisons, but one of the key things about nature, every creature is just trying to survive for itself and for its species. And that's why food chains work. Food chains wouldn't work if foxes felt bad for eating rabbits, but rabbit populations would collapse as well because the whole food chain would go. Foxes started feeling bad. But I think we also have a responsibility. The amount of damage we can do to the planet, we could collapse the entire thing. Therefore, we have no other animal has that power. No, a lion can't stop climate change. The fish can't clean up the plastic in the ocean. Only humans. And I think that does give us a level, because we need it. If we destroy the planet, that's it. We die. We have to protect.
Screwed, definitely.
We have to have clean air. We have to have working coral reefs. We have to have temperatures within a normal range. Like I believe, obviously temperatures also naturally cycle over, is it tens of thousands or hundreds?
Both.
We also, right after this kind of artificial, humans will reach a point, I believe, in our future where temperatures will naturally rise, right? Yeah. And at that point, we need to artificially stop it. Okay, yes. Otherwise we won't be okay. So I think we have a responsibility, and not just for them, also for ourselves at the same time. And I think they work. You look after the planet, you look after yourself. And you look after yourself, you look after the planet.
Yeah, we are all very much connected. I very much say to that point. Also, so our temperatures increased by 1.5 degrees since the Industrial Revolution. Now the surface planet has increased by that much on average. I believe.
I actually don't know when the span started from.
I think it is. I think it's from the 1900s.
I think it might be though from what they expect our normal temperature, which since the 1900s shouldn't have changed.
It shouldn't have changed, but it has, and maybe that might be a better temperature for us.
Camera work. Fine. Cool.
I think it might be better for us actually.
Right.
This 1.5 degree increase. Like, okay, let's say we have cracked the ability to cool things down.
Yeah.
Will we want to cool it down to 1900s level? What is the optimal temperature for human? You've got to think about it. The hotter the climate, the better plants grow, and we want plants to grow. Within certain plants grow, the ones that humans find most useful.
You see, this is I think one of the things you're forgetting here, and this is actually why they changed it from global warming to climate change.
Climate change, yes,
is because it changes extreme weather patterns, which humans are very bad at. Right, the hotter the Earth gets, the more hurricanes we get, the more droughts we get, but also the more blizzards we get. The more tornadoes we get, the more storms, thunderstorms, rainstorms we get, the more flooding we get. So although maybe a slightly hotter temperature would be great if we could avoid more natural disasters, but it increases the amount of extreme weather, which isn't good. Everyone likes it to snow, but no one wants a blizzard that lasts for a month. No one wants minus 20 degree temperature. Everyone likes it when it's hot in the summer. No one likes 40 degree weather. No one likes forest fires. And that's the problem, is if it literally just meant every day was 1.5 degrees hotter,
be fine. Easily.
Probably would take it, because you lose a bit of snow maybe in the winters, but You gain better summer, crops grow for longer. However, that comes with more hurricanes, more droughts, more flash floods, more all of that.
Yeah, I can very much see that. I think I want to go back to our actual topic, because I think we've sort of gone too far on that. Basically, the point I was going to say was basically things are always happening on our on an environmental scale, but usually, without even thinking about it, it does service humanity more. Like we're cutting down the rainforest and instead of doing palm trees, which are servicing humanity more, and then we've got to eventually we'll find a balance of having only the correct type of tree. Like our biodiversity will go down. We'll only have the most efficient type of thing to get rid of carbon from the atmosphere, or all the sort of biodiversity that we have. We'll only have the most efficient type of bee. Only one species of bee, or only a very few amount of bees. They're the best ones around. Like, everyone's always been saying for many, many times that the bees are dying. It's certain, usually Hawaiian bees, they're gone extinct because we've introduced different bees that work better in those environments, and that's a sort of issue. It's just you've got to think about how as a society biodiversity will always go up and down by things being outcompeted, and we're sort of speeding up that process. Is it inherently good or bad? We don't know. But to go back, why is nothing good happening in my life? Why is my life always sad? Okay, we've got here a question. Someone asking this.
That's what someone said on what?
This was said in Quora, and
love that.
It's not, of course, Quora is not a news site, obviously, but this is a good way to track general sentiment. In modern times, people are more depressed than they are. Why is that? They feel like they don't have enough purpose, I would say. That's one of the main issues. People don't feel like they don't feel like they're actually contributing to society. Because if they were contributing to society, then a big societal change would affect them. But it's not. Or not at a scale where they feel like it is. Like the economy going up and down, does the average person feel it on the day? I don't think they do.
Well, and I think more to that. I think what you're saying is we don't feel like we contribute to society. Therefore, we don't have vested interests. You hear
it doesn't matter to you.
I don't use one, so yeah, I that sentence is almost meaningless to me. Of course, as a human with a brain, I can think about the implications of that. I can feel empathy for other people, but I don't know. Maybe if I had more of a vested interest in my community, and I, spoke to Jimmy who lived next to me who used a food bank, or I volunteered once a month at a food bank, that would have so much more.
Yeah, I can very easily see that. I feel like these sort of sentiments that I have definitely sort of not a big fan of society, or quite anarchist, and that is increasing. I feel personally it's increasing, and I think the reason why is people feel disillusioned from society. Why? Because we're not contributing. We don't feel like our jobs are meaningful. The baker, 1400s, they knew they were important. But some guy flipping burgers, or some guy in an office, does he feel like he's making a meaningful contribution to society? All they're doing is contributing to the GDP number and making sure that the money, the number in their bank on their bank app is enough when they take out rent every month.
And I feel like a lot of that, I don't want to make this a left-wing thing, but the Thatcherism attitude of individuality, one of the things she undeniably pushed for was individuality over senses of community. And I think that we live in a very individual-based society. Absolutely. Someone, I've worked in bars, stuff like that. I'm not there going, you know what, I'm glad I can, I'm just caring about me.
Yeah,
They're just caring about themselves, though. They can be arseholes. They don't care how my shift's going. They don't care if I'm getting paid well enough. You go to a bar, you go, oh, £6 for a pint, that's ridiculous. You don't go, well, at least the worker's getting paid a fair wage.
Because they're not.
Well, yeah. But you just go, it doesn't annoy you because of how that money's being spent. It just annoys you because on you that cost.
You care about the personal part of it.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like how do I explain it? Yeah, I feel like we should try and. I personally believe we should think of ourselves as individuals within a community. All right. So we're definitely individualistic, but we shouldn't be afraid to, or a cup of sugar, that sort of stuff. That sort of feeling where we are individuals. Definitely, we've all got our own individual wants, needs, and desires, and also our own individual skills. We shouldn't try to do everything by ourselves. It's impossible. We can't live in society and do everything ourselves. Who's the first one?
I think it's really interesting, especially here. His stance is kind of on individual liberties. Like your core belief, right, is individual liberty, almost anarchist type person of like, so it's really interesting hearing you argue at the same.
I feel like the only reason why I consider myself more anarchist than others is because I feel like this stuff is gone. And I feel like I blame current society for this cultural, I guess, hegemony. Is everyone feeling the same, always feeling like every single person, we can sort of look at them and you know that everyone has their differences, but they still represent the same core values. That is gone. I feel like I'd like to know that no matter what, my neighbours are always there for me. My neighbours are always there for me. My streets are always there for me. My city's always there for me. And I feel like no one truly feels that anymore. I mean, maybe if you're in a very sheltered area, maybe you would still feel like that.
Yeah. I definitely think we need a lot more of that. But you know what? I think a lot of this gets put on society unfairly. But I also think we don't take enough vigil. When you moved into your new place, do you have a house now at uni?
Yes, I have a proper house at uni.
Did you say hi to the neighbours?
That is one of my things. I have not said hello to the neighbours. Why not? I feel it would be weird. I mean, to be fair, it would be weird now because I'm living in the same place for nearly 2 years.
But this is my point, is that we as individuals didn't make the effort. So while we can complain that society behaves this way, we're society.
Yeah, we are society.
If we knock on our neighbour's door and say, hi, just moved in, just want to say hi, here's a bottle of wine or something, right? They're then likely to do that when they move.
Yes.
Their neighbours are then likely to do that when they move. And you start this whole trend. You, in a sense, because
I can sort of very much see what you're saying there. I feel it's definitely on myself where I've got to. Well, I can blame society because I'm blaming all 7 billion humans in the entire world. When there's no point in me saying anything until I actually do something. Praxis. Leftists always talk about praxis, and that's something we need to actually do ourselves. Is do these praxis. Instead of actually just always blaming the entire society, put things into your own hands. Sometimes, you can't do that for everything, obviously. We've got to sometimes do it for some bigger issues like the environment. We can do our own part, but it is, a lot of people in the, it's basically certain amounts of like big government organizations or companies, basically the size of governments, they're the ones being the issues.
Yeah. I don't think our whole society's not one of those. But I definitely believe that we need some sort. Yeah, we need to regain senses that are built for individuals. We don't have street parties anymore because no one hosts a street party. If you say, screw it, I'm having a street party, apply to the council, and then go knock on everyone's door and say, I'm having a street party.
Or don't apply to the council, just have one anyway. Fun. Come on.
But, you can. Like, you've just got to be the change. Sometimes you've got to be the change you want to see.
Yeah, you've always got to be the change you've got to want to see. And then people say it for every single political thing. It's just, yes, it's true. But things just as simple as not even political, as sort of spiritually, this sort of stuff where this sort of spiritual community that we have of people we feel closeness and that sort of love and care from just anyone not around. Like, people feel unsafe walking in the streets. If everyone knew everyone, you probably feel a lot safer because who's the dodgy ones. You know that no matter what, always that guy there who's walking past the other side of the street, he'd be there to help in case because you know everyone. Of course, I think it's from the cityization of the world. There's a good word for it. Where like everything becomes urban areas.
Urbanization.
That's the way. Urbanization.
Cityization.
You know what? You understood exactly what I meant is the issue. So, I think what I said was fine. But like, because this urban area is so population dense, that sort of feeling of community is just so hard to achieve because there's so many people there. Especially right now for us, we live in a university area. I don't know how many students are in Southampton. Do you know, top of your head, how many students are in Southampton?
About 200,000.
200,000 in Southampton.
Yep.
How many universities are there in Southampton?
One. Oh no, there's two. I'm only talking about University of Southampton.
There's 200,000 people there. Good lord. I know I've got 7 universities.
Wait, no, what am I on about? Sorry. 20,000.
Okay.
That's 200,000. What was I on about?
I believe I was going to say I believe it's about 100,000 students in the Leeds area because there's 7 universities.
Yeah, right. So I'm guessing there'd be about 50,000 in the Southampton area.
I've got 7 universities. You've got 1.
I've got 3.
I've got 3. Okay. Yeah. So yeah,
so if you include Winchester's,
there's so many people coming and going, and they're from all walks of life. They're so different. So like, it's very hard for me to sort of ingrain myself in the Leeds culture, which I live in, because I'm not raised there. I mean, I can learn to adapt over time, and I hope to eventually become part of that Leeds community.
You know what? That's actually so interesting because quite a close friend of mine at university is now the union president. And I was actually having a conversation with him a couple months ago about how to create identity around unis, built around kind of being a student at that university. And it's so interesting because it's so difficult. And what's really weird is American universities have such a strong sense of it. Like, you know, you'll see them talking about it when they're 50 years old. They'll be like, yeah, I went to that college, go that college football team. I'll watch them still on Sundays. And we don't have that. We don't buy. We actually have a friend who has a jumper that says University of Uni.
Really?
Yeah.
We see like,
and we find that weird. Yeah. That is weird.
America, they've got many flaws, but one of the things they're good at, right? They're good at idolization of things and people. Good at it.
Absolutely.
And it's a rallying point. It's like, okay, like I always say, American politics, you care about the one person. No one here is jumping up in arms. Hey, Keir Starmer. Apart from you, you're the weird one here. Everyone's all like, hey, Labour Party. Hey, Conservatives. Like we care more about a sort of institution than we do care about individual things or items or collective of people.
Our European culture is definitely built around collectives. Definitely. We're not really.
We've lost our identity. And to go back, it is so hard to actually form a collective identity in a university because we're so diverse. We're so like yes, ethnically, but also just like culturally. There's so many different cultural values brought to a university where you're sort of like supposed to like sort of repress your cultural values and just sit down and learn because it's easier to do. Then have all these things of like trying to integrate every single person. You're like, okay, we're in a university, you've got to follow English common law, and if you don't agree with it, sort of like be quiet about it. If everyone was able to put in their 2 cents on what they feel like should be part of the community, you'd have every single opinion pro and against, and in pretty even proportions.
Yeah,
and it's impossible to deal with. Is there any cure for that? I mean, yes, only allow certain people certain beliefs into a university. That's not a good idea.
No, and but I think you can take some sort of cultural community pride. There's community in that, or chosen to be at Leeds. That's one thing. You know, you all chose to go to that uni. All of that stuff.
See, the closest I've got for my university, from my personal experience, is we do something called varsity. I think you're aware of varsity. You know,
yeah, definitely.
And we do it against our rival one, which is the University Leeds Beckett. It's called. Now, in that time, you get a lot of patriotism for our university. We're the ones. Usually Leeds wins. Apart from this year, that was actually a scam. We were cheated out some 6 points. I'm not going to get into that because I'm pissed off because I was there when they cheated us out of the cup. They during that time, I can see definitely Leeds Beckett has a stronger community point because they've all got signs saying we're not winning because we don't have Daddy's money. Because University of Leeds is sort of portrayed as the really rich one. Is it really rich? Yes. Do I survive off Daddy's money? No. But
there's a lot of where's my backy type.
Don't remind me. But also Leeds itself, the Leeds students, they all sort of rally themselves behind drum and bass. Actually, that's a key cultural thing is drum and bass music. I don't like it that much. I play it. You can probably hear me. You could probably find videos of me playing it and enjoying myself. But that's not truly what I want to do. But it's such a big thing in Leeds. It's actually one of the key points of like if you look at like Hinge and stuff, you'll find people's main thing is they have to sort of signal. Here, I agree with the group. I enjoy drum and bass. Like I've got to signal that I'm part of the group. I'm part of the clique. I'm part of this community, which is drum and bass enjoys because it's such a massive thing. And I mean, at least we're able to find some sort of common ground to actually enjoy. That's a positive, at least.
Yeah.
But it feels very strange because it's not community for community's sake. You know, we're not welcome to like Devon. Here's all Devonites or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. There is something we can't just unite under the idea of we're from. So Southampton, we have varsity, but it's nowhere, nothing like what you seem to be describing.
We
it's
sell
really
out
not
massive
popular.
stadiums. I'm going to put on screen the video I captured of it Attendance there, and just the biggest crowd you've ever seen. We filled up 2 halves of a full size rugby thing.
Really?
Full size.
Wow.
Absolutely filled
Oh my
it.
God, no. We get
There's no seats. It was shoulder.
To be fair, I don't even. Never actually played at varsity or viewed varsity. I will be this year though. However, watch me. I'll be there. American football.
Oh, of course. I'll show you here.
No way. This is your varsity.
Yeah, absolutely huge.
Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah. And there's a lot of security people because because they get really violent.
Really, that's so cool though. I'd love something like that.
It's a real proper community thing. That's the one time of the year I feel like that I'm in a community. I'm there and I get whipped up into the further. Also because I'm always doing the reporting, and we try to have like a couple of people from Beckett, a couple of people from the University of Leeds to do the commentary stuff. So I've got to be the patriotic University of Leeds kind of guy. Love it.
Yeah.
And it's a very good community thing, but community aspect is much less than it would be, because you'd have that every week, your local team playing in the football. You wouldn't anymore. Like I've seen the...
I think that's one thing that is still going about community.
Football is English only community institution still standing. And you get the football hooliganism stuff, and that's... Well, it would have been like, they're from the next county over, they're Bath. Anyway, they would have done that back then. They would have just beat up people from different counties. Now we only beat up people who support different teams.
You get like, do have this sense.
Yeah. And I don't enjoy football that much. I enjoy the community out of it.
Yeah.
Lots of people are like, should we ban football hooliganism? It's the last thing that keeps us, I think, to this point.
Well, I mean...
The hooliganism, yes. But the only way they can ban football hooliganism, hooliganism. It doesn't sound right, does it? The only way you can ban that is by banning football support, really. And it's sort of big. Let's all go out and drink loads, then go to the team, then go out and have a fight at the end. Maybe just try and minimize the fight at the end, really. They'd have to ban all 3 points of it, really.
Maybe we should try banning the fights.
Well, this is always in the news. And you know what? Every single time this is in the news, I still think nothing ever happens. Big fight. Stampede. People get that. Nothing ever happens.
Maybe nothing.
It feels like not enough happens, basically. If I can see here, I've looked at the origin here. It says the phrase "nothing ever happens" has been used on 4chan's poll board, which, of course, I'm going to have to say before anything, I kind of condemn the poll board because it's quite it's politically incorrect. That's actually what the whole point of it is. But it's happening ever since July 2014. Like, here's an example here. Nothing ever happens in this shit. I can't take it anymore. Please, God, make something happen. The world is boring as fuck. All right? Clearly, people want excitement in their lives. I also feel like maybe something with culture now, where we've got constant stimulation. You've got to think of TikTok brain. TikTok brain does not work well with slow-moving politics.
Also, there's someone watching. Oh, fuck. No,
tell me what they're doing.
So anyway, they wrote a book called The End of History.
Yes.
Or a paper. Something called The End of History. And basically...
Weirdly, I think they've been saying that since like the 1800s, though.
Well, they've been saying that since...
Okay, you are completely correct on that one.
But everyone, as I said, if we're not the first group of humans, maybe we're not the last group of humans, but maybe we were the first group of humans that created society that will stay the same forever.
Empires only last 250 years. That's what happened. That's
on average.
On average, yes.
They could last millions.
So shall we say, in conclusion, you're not special. Things do happen. You just don't want to think about it. And we're just too sheltered to sort of realize things happen.
But I'm also going to add one more thing.
Go on.
On top of those 4 points. Nothing ever happens. I think we're moving on to the next bit. So the next bit is China and Russia. But more specifically, kind of what's going to happen to China to the past years of Russia. So to give a brief summary for anyone that doesn't know, if you don't know,
well done.
What have you done?
Well done for that. Honestly, I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, no, it's impressive. Actually, yeah, it is. Fair play to you. No, so if you don't know, Russia invaded Ukraine March 2022.
Oh, God, it is 2 years now, isn't it? Oh, my God.
Over 2 years.
Wow.
Currently, the standing is Russia has occupied areas of Ukraine for about 2 years. Ukraine, Russia. So everyone thought this would be a cakewalk. It'd be over in weeks. And 2 years later, Ukraine is still somehow holding their own, which is incredible. But we've seen stuff like massive economic sanctions for Russia. Exerting mass desertion, seen them having to use drafting Europe and America supplying weapons and supplying arms. And then a brief bit on China. So I guess the kind of key thing, right, is like the global, it's in question who's the global superpower. That is for sure. America. Sorry, yeah, you go.
I feel like if it's in question, then if people are questioning it, then it's very clearly, you can't just assume America is the number one anymore.
No, exactly. And I think there's a lot of media. My fiance. So China's looking basically for ways to become a superpower, and Taiwan is very close to their borders. Now, Taiwan is a thing that China used to claim as their own.
But they still claim as their own. Still claim as their own.
And the Taiwanese do not. They have their own government, and they do not respect Chinese authority.
Well, it's because they that was where the old Chinese government fled to Taiwan when the Great Cultural Revolution started. That's where they fled to. So they view themselves as true China. We want to really piss off a Chinese man. Not China, the Chinese government, sorry. We want to piss them off. Call the China. You just got to call it West Taiwan. They call it East China. West Taiwan.
Yeah. Well, and it's and now obviously the development has kind of been so. Well, it was kind of there, largely forgotten about because. One, America backed Taiwan so much. So America heavily backed Taiwan, and China doesn't much rather take. Also, it wasn't that valuable. Now, however, one of the access to technology. And as I said, it's currently backed by America. They kind of support each other, and so China wants it back. Yeah,
because if they can control that, another way to control us, control our, if we control what we can have, we rely on them more.
They have more power over our economy and stuff like that.
They can just increase the price 10 times and we'll still buy it because we need it.
Yeah.
We need them, like we need water and food. We need computer chips.
And so this, it's really interesting because there's really easy parallels to draw between Russia, Ukraine, and China and Taiwan. Like one should win. 100% one should win. And Russia lost massively. So it's really...
Well, I think what we should definitely take away from this is how are we representing ourselves to the Chinese? Because this is, this Russia-Ukraine thing, I hate to say it, but it is a proxy war between the US, Europe, and this sort of Russia, sort of China, this sort of place, that sort of area, the West versus, I guess you can call it the East. Then we've got to show a good hand. We've got to show that also we can do it. We can give all this money and all this foreign aid and still be fine. Not cripple ourselves doing this. Because if we cripple ourselves funding this war, it's like American government has no money. We can just literally storm over and just roll over the place because they've spunked all their money and all their resources on helping out some place far, far away from them. For us, it's closer, but still quite far away in general. We've got to be able to show that we can do this. We've got this technology to be able to defeat or at least to defend ourselves. Back off, basically.
Yeah, I think it definitely has highlighted that, but not just that. I think the bigger thing that it's shown. I don't think anyone questions America's percentage as a percentage of their GDP. They spend the most on it, but because they spend the most on it as a percentage, and their GDP is the biggest, they by far spend the most on that. We're talking most people now believe they have 2 generations more advanced jets. So it would be like fighting a.
That's the other thing is, I think it's inevitable that every military, they have classified weapons that probably are much better. They don't want to get it out because if they get it out, use them. We could look at it and just reverse engineer it just by looking at it.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we have secret satellites that are able to do like lasers from space, or you've heard of the rods from God, that sort of thing, where like a big tungsten rod like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they do exist, and we're just not talking about them. We're not going to use them on such a silly little war like the Ukraine thing.
Yeah.
Save it when something goes hot.
And that is definitely, as I was going to say, right? How likely are we to? Right, war can't go too far. if war goes too far, every country loses. It could be the end of human race, but even if it's not, it's definitely the end of. So no country.
I can't really think of any good reason, because even then, let's say China wants to conquer the US.
There's nothing to conquer.
If they do it, it's nothing. It's just land you can't use for 400 years. It's not worth it.
Also, America has more than enough nuclear weaponry that there's no China
to level China.
Yeah. So it would be awful and disastrous. So I think a lot of Russia is testing the waters, because is there any point in us having nuclear weapons if we're not going to?
Yeah. How tough are we?
And stuff like, so how maybe we should let Russia weaponry.
Quite a weak take, I think. You gotta be strong. All right. Don't let all right. So I hate making one of my pet peeves is making comparisons to Hitler in any capacity. We let him take too much before we intervened.
Yeah.
We learned from that mistake. We fought a bloody war. Millions died.
Yeah.
And I think that wouldn't have happened if we went in earlier. So here, the first thing something happens, we're at the gates. Not happening. We're being strong about this.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. I think we need to do this sort of stuff.
Do you think we're being strong enough about Ukraine? Do you think we need to? Do you think we should have done stuff like that, or do you think we've been strong enough, or too weak, or what?
I feel we're sending more than enough money. That's first what I'm going to say. First off, we sent a lot of money to Ukraine. I mean, not US level, but I believe we sent I believe it's 2.2 billion. I think if we can find it, we'll put it on the screen when we can find how much money the UK has given. But we've given a lot of money, and that's a lot of money that could be brought to us, help secure ourselves. But again, go back to community. It's all good making sure you've got a really good fortified house, but if you make sure the street is safe, a lot easier that way. I feel like it is not our duty, not our obligation, but I feel like I think it's a good idea to help our allies, especially because Ukraine is such a powerful source in food, which is it's tough to think about. We're going to boil down less caring about the actual citizens surviving, more about the food. That's heartless, but
I mean, so for reference to them, we give to Ukraine
total. So only 0.4 bill
every year. 0.2 bill. Why 0.4?
0.4 per year from 2 years.
Oh, yeah, point.
I feel like
we used to give about 30 million.
Massive increase.
Yeah.
Massive increase. I was off by a factor of 10, so that's my fault. I'm going to admit that's there. Whoops. Bigger numbers means it's more dramatic. Actually, you're wrong. They've given like 100 trillion. So,
actually, I think we gave them. So, don't know about
that. I just feel so. One of my most controversial takes, I think, is that war is inevitable and somewhat good for humankind.
Wow.
I know, that's awful thing to say.
Normally when someone says, controversial opinion, but they say the most average shit that every single person agrees with. But
that is weird. It's a weird opinion, isn't it?
Genuinely a controversial take.
You've got to think.
War is good.
You've got to think. In the past 20 years, we've had lots of developments, yes? Lots of development technology-wise. But nothing at the same scale as the Cold War or World War II or even World War I. World War I, we invented tanks. World War II, we invented weapons of mass destruction. Cold War, we were able to go to the moon. What we've done since, we've just sort of given up. Because the reason we went to the moon, the reason we furthered all this electronics is so we could say we're first. It was all a battle.
I'm going to have to disagree there, though, because what you just said, what have we done since then? We've given up.
Nothing ever happens.
The internet.
The internet was a big thing. I'm going to defend that. I'm going to defend my point a bit. I feel that, as technology advances the most, and we've got a pressure to do so, which is by a foreign power, we've got to try and be the first. We were able to land some on the moon during the Cold War. We were able to take so many advancements in physics, and actually specifically subatomic physics, because we wanted to be the first one to name these elements, name these subatomic particles, to beat Russia.
I see, but I don't think a lot of this actually progresses humanity. I think we do our best work when we're not in war. What did we invent during the Cold War? Actually, no, what did we invent during World War II? We made bombs, and planes,
Nuclear.
we did. But what did we make when we weren't in the war? We went to the moon. We did
We
phones. We did the internet.
We were in the Cold War, is what I'm saying. And we wouldn't have had the sort of the ability to make these computers smaller, then go into a phone, without the sort of need to make it small enough to fit in a rocket. I mean, these developments are inevitable, right? But I think they're sped along by the spur to beat someone else. There's majority of humans drive. Why do I go to work? Why do I strive for a higher paying job? So I can get more money than my neighbor, so I can get a more attractive woman in the end. Honestly, I think we boil it down biology. It's so I can get more things.
I mean, I think maybe there's some truth in that, but I think you can't discredit what it does, how much.
It hurts. It hurts and destroys lives. Definitely that. The Cold War doesn't destroy lives, but it still spurs us to create more. Honestly, the Cold War was the only time we never went hot. We've had all these posturing and never went hot. That's very, very proud achievement of humanity.
But I'm quite pleased that we seem to be heading in a direction.
I can definitely agree to that point for sure. I think that peace is usually good, but I would prefer a friendly conversation when we want to be the first. But I feel like this sort of stuff forces us to have unfriendly competition, do things faster, harder.
What about the fact that our economy exploded post the kind of dissolving of the USSR for like a solid 10 years? It was really.
I feel that happened because of the Cold War. I feel that what happened, the leaps and gains we made in the Cold War, the amount of money spent on securing things and making things for the Cold War was able to help boost the economy. Like the same happened with World War II, where post World War II there was a boom. Obviously baby boomers, and boom. Well, there was still rationing for I think 9 years after. That was just while we were trying to re-establish supply trades and stuff. But after that, it was the Great Generation. There was so much stuff happened. Like even remember, I remember we learning us in GCSEs in history. Not even GCSE. Just not. Did we have to do GCSE history? Okay, then it was pre-GCSE. Yeah, it was. In pre-GCSE, we learned about the 1940s, 1950s, like the whole big boom in like personal credit and all sorts of stuff. We learned about America doing that sort of stuff with the invention of the Model T and stuff. That happened from a post-war bubble.
Yeah, I think that happens because we're not
in. I think it's because we came out of a war.
It's an interesting point of view. I think as the West, we want to avoid a war with China because my worry is
we rely on them.
We might not win.
That's my big worry. On them so much. We might not win. I think current moment with the current knowledge I have, I feel we would lose. I definitely think that the US government and the UK government and definitely have things under the sleeve.
I think we win. I think right now we would win a Cold War, but
we'd cripple ourselves.
I just worry there's a chance we lose, and I'm no massive fan of America. I believe Europe should have a lot more self-identity.
Yeah,
and have kind of.
We shouldn't be America's brother.
We should be America's brother, but we shouldn't be America's servant. And I think that is a huge difference. We shouldn't be its twin, but we really shouldn't be its servant.
No.
And however, I would side with America every day of the week over China.
Very much so.
Authoritarian nature scares me. Imagine if that kind of authoritarianism, that kind of control, that kind of destruction of individual liberties becomes the global superpower for the world. They get to say that if we don't have strict bans on freedom of speech, we don't have strict rules about what we can look at on the internet, then they won't trade with us. And we will be completely at their mercy.
You got to think how much I hate the authoritarianism now of the UK government, and comparing it to China, it's a fucking
it's anarchy compared to China.
Yeah.
We live in an anarchist state.
I think the UK government's gone too far already. Like the UK government is too much controlling of our too authoritarian, too much controlling of our individual liberties. If China do it, we're fucked. I'm fucked. I'm going to be so fuming. But do you think if we were to go an official Cold War declared with China, we'd find a way onto the moon?
Right. Okay.
All right. So if I feel that if we were to go into official Cold War, as in us, as in US and Europe as a whole, I think if we were to go to Cold War, we'd land someone, would get a moon, fly from a moon base, and at least land someone on Mars.
Potentially. I think, yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that maybe it would spur it up. Space in particular seems to get very stirred up by. It's very obvious who's winning, very obvious to compete. But it's also the kind of thing.
Who first you win, boom, like that.
But it's also the kind of thing where if no one else is challenging you, there's no point in doing it.
Yes.
Right. NASA.
Yes.
No point in America putting more. Unless China starts ramping up there.
Yes. Only if that way, because I think at its peak, Cold War, I think it was 0.5% of the national budget was that. And that was enough to land someone on the moon with 1950s tech.
Yeah.
60s tech, sorry. Okay, so basically 70s tech then, I guess.
But I mean, what's interesting, right? What I worry about is for places like Europe. Europe is not doing well recently.
What sort of space stuff do they have?
Well, no, but I don't just mean that. I mean our economies aren't doing great.
No one's economy is doing great. China's is fine. They say it's fine.
America's was booming last year. Ours is doing. Europe has stagnated for 15 years. America has outpaced Europe by an incredible amount. So is China. But what's worrying, I don't think we can afford. We definitely can't afford all-out war. No, 100% we can't. But I worry about whether we can afford a Cold War, even a trade war, even trade embargoes. If we raise tariffs, our economies are crashing yet again. If we raise tariffs, if America puts on, they're talking about putting on 60% tariffs on all Chinese imports to America. That's 30 billion. That will make the whole world crash.
Easy.
We are barely scraping, 2% growth, I think, at the moment.
Barely.
That will put us in a massive recession, a major recession.
Easily.
And we might
Well, and I feel like if Cold War is inevitable, and I feel like it should be, and not even if it's now or later, I think we should start to prioritize divesting from China. No, not by tariffs, but by building infrastructure that we can rely on instead. Okay, what do we get from China at the moment? I mean, obviously, cheap Chinese crap. We get that. We can very easily should divest from, but like we need to have focus more on securing our own food lines, securing our own technology lines, and fuel as well.
No, absolutely. And this is the thing, right? We absolutely should do that. And it's what we're having to do. But that worries me because the problem is what I'm saying is we can't afford that. And the individuals can't. We can't not afford to do it. Like we can't go into the next decade without having these things like food security. And stuff. However, if we have a diet of food that is homegrown in the UK, that is going to be double your food bill now. We saw prices rise. We saw inflation at 10% on stuff like food.
Yes.
And people struggled so much. We cannot afford to double our food prices. We cannot afford for energy prices to skyrocket. We can't afford for clothes to skyrocket. We can't afford it. America can.
Yes.
China can. Europe can't. And that is
I feel we should try and lower taxes on our on staple foods. Staple foods, your meats, your veggies, and your carbs. Maybe try and keep the ones that we have for unhealthy foods to try and sort of promote healthier eating by lowering the taxes, not by raising taxes of other things. And as well as that, I feel investment in things like hydroponics. All right, hydroponics is very easy. It is quite good and it's quite storage dense, and its energy cost shouldn't be that much compared. And if we can invest in making these big sort of get this constantly everywhere I go, I always see this building used to be a nice, lovely building. Now it's become a big, tall block of flats. There's a big, tall block of flats full of hydroponic growing bays, and be able to feed 1,000 people easily.
But you mentioned there lower taxes, higher spending.
Weirdly, any solution, I will try and lower taxes. You know me.
But see, this is what I mean when I say in Europe can't afford it. The current UK budget deficit, not including investment. So including investment, I think it's about 20 billion.
Ooh.
But not including investment. So as in like what you're hoping to return in the future. Just literally what we're spending today versus what we're getting. 51 billion deficit.
But that's we're in the red for that much.
Every year we gain that much, the deficit. Our debt is over 100.
We couldn't pause government paying and then all the money goes straight to paying off debt. We can't do that in a year.
We cannot afford to. Well, GDP isn't even what the government makes.
Yeah.
So we definitely could have. It would take like 10 years to.
Let's say if we shut off all government spending, devote it entirely to that.
So, but we can't afford. We don't have the and higher.
You'd admit that lowering taxes always stimulates growth. We can't afford to get to that point at the moment. We still haven't bounced back from 2008.
What we need, and this is the socialist in me,
right?
What we need is wealth taxes. There's too much wealth pulled up at the top, and right now we're in a time where we need stuff like security. We need our own industries. We need our own things. We need lower taxes on domestic products. With the current budget, cannot achieve that unless you claw some of this wealth back that is pulled up at the top from the top.
Who's the richest person in the UK? Neither do I. I know obviously America is like obviously Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Musk, and lots of stuff, those sort of people. I don't know who's at the top in the UK. And let's just get whoever it is and get the net worth as well in.
Gupti Hinduja.
Never heard of
his
them.
Family.
What do they do?
They're behind an Indian conglomerate group.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Running from the list saw a fall from but we have
165 billionaires. Okay. So, like,
and he is worth 37.2 billion.
Well, again, the issue with that is he's worth that, but he doesn't have 37 billion liquid assets. The government can't tax that much.
Say we take half a billion off all the billionaires.
It will tank our economy is the issue as well, doing that.
Yeah, but that's a budget deficit gone for that year.
But if you were to take that much out, because it's in stocks, it's in other things, if you were to take that much money out of that, boom,
yeah,
economy is gone.
100%. And I'm not actually advocating. What I do advocate for is a wealth tax. So that's people that don't earn a lot of money, right? But they have a lot of, right? So if you just sit on a large manor house.
My issue with that is one of the stories of the kulaks. They label anyone who has a little bit more than someone else as a kulak and do it. If they had a slightly bigger field than someone, therefore you're kulak and then they get everything stripped away from you and stuff like that. I feel
so a wealth tax.
Who decides that you're too wealthy?
Wealth taxes would be that. Well, I don't think there should be anything wrong with being wealthy. I don't think there's anything
being wealthy is something to strive for.
But I think there's something to be said for basically what it would be is you have any item worth over. So one of the ways you could do a luxury goods tax. Any item, singular thing you can purchase worth over £20,000, you add a 20% tax on it.
Well, would you put a house on that?
Luxury goods, so it would be watches, handbags.
I don't understand how people would be proud of spending 20k on that sort of stuff. I don't understand it.
Anyone spending 20k on a watch ought to pay more tax.
Yeah,
and in a time when we're talking about national security, they should be paying more tax. What was always used to be understood, right, is when economic times are good and when the country is doing good, the rich benefit, right?
Yes.
Economic times are hard.
Rich benefit.
But the rich suffer. That's what was the thing. That was what was the thing, right?
Oh, used to be, yes.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Okay.
Even if you take it all the way back to medieval England, right?
Yep.
When times are good, the king, loving life. When there's a threat of war, the king's the one that has to spend the money to protect his people.
Yep.
When we're worried about food, when he was worried about food security for his people, he was the one that had to go invade places.
Because he had to care about
spend the money.
He had to care about the people, otherwise he'd be gone.
But it was expected to fall on him. It's not. The tax burden is on the poor rather than the rich now. It's on the middle class rather than the upper class.
What middle class?
Oh, true.
It's shrinking and shrinking. I think those are 127 billionaires. If 50% of the population of the UK died mysteriously, they would still be fine. Those billionaires would still be fine. The other 50% will be fucked and screwed. True. Like, okay, if economy goes up, rich people get really rich. Yep. If the economy goes down, rich people get really rich because they're able to burden that cost. Yep. Able to burden that cost. And I feel like back in then, I remember my grandmother, I believe she's telling me how the ring that she had, the ring that she was engaged with, was given by my granddad's grandmother. Instead of buying a whole new luxury, it's an heirloom. And we don't have heirlooms anymore. It's all, I earn the money, I'm going to spend it all, and then nothing for my kid, really. And we just need to sort of be sensible with your money.
But that is negative to the economy. But basically, my point is, and there's a lot of interesting thing that happened over COVID, where money pooled at the top.
Yes,
and that
very
can
much
be a whole nother conversation. I really want to do one.
Another conversation could be another 700 million, really.
Yeah. But we need to claw some of that money back.
Find a way to get some money back.
The country needs it right now.
Not the country, the people need it.
Yeah. Country, the people of the country, the citizens.
Yeah.
But even that includes the uber wealthy. What happens to the top 1% when we're reliant on China for our energy prices, stuff like that? Like, if we don't have food security, everyone suffers. Cost of living, everyone felt that, right? Even the top 1%. Maybe not the top 0.1% didn't.
Yeah.
But
business owners felt it awfully because everyone had to ask for more money.
People earning £80,000 a year, they felt it.
Yes.
And they're in the top 1%. But maybe not, maybe top 5%.
Top 1% easily.
But but they felt it still. So everyone has a vested interest in food security, energy security, security.
Yes.
So they need to chip in more, in my opinion. If that's what we need to do, that's what we need to do.
It's a struggle. It's a struggle to find a solution because you know me, trying to get me to admit to lefty commie nonsense is impossible. But you're making good arguments because we're at the point where I'm like, I don't want this to happen. Do I have another choice?
Well, my arguments are making sense. Not commie. I'm not a communist.
You're still lefty commie nonsense though.
I haven't got a choice but to agree with it. I love capitalism.
Yes,
I believe in capitalism, but I believe in regulated capitalism and a system of not even redistribution of wealth, but a level of, for everyone's sake, we need to chip in. There's certain things like having an army. Every single person in the country benefits from having an army. Everyone needs to contribute in order to have an army. The people that can contribute, that's my simplistically said, that's what I believe in.
I believe the uber wealthy are taking advantage of the government. All right? Because, I mean, you know me, I find a very, very little difference between a government and a business.
Right.
A government is just a business that says it owns land. Basically, that's right. You can boil it down simplistic enough to that. And what they're doing is they're relying on the government and all these tariffs, and they're always bribing officials to build things in their favor.
Yep.
And it doesn't help them. If we had smaller government, maybe businesses would have to realize they have to rely on each other and they have to be more cooperative. But at the moment, a business has to rely on themselves and the government for anything they have to. Anything else.
Really interesting take.
Just them and one other institution.
You know, I've not heard that take before, but that's really interesting.
You can understand exactly where I'm coming from.
No, I can. That's really interesting take.
Like imagine like a union of big businesses of we're all going to do things in our common interest to help ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, a delivery company is going to do something with a company that helps out with ordering. With going to help out with something that requires supplies. They're all going to form a cooperative together because they have to because we're strong. We are strong together. But no, the big business will then sort of will talk to the government about it, and the government will help big business and cripple themselves. The government will cripple themselves to bend over backwards for a big corporation.
It's an interesting argument, especially as someone that tends to believe more government interference. It's interesting. Anyway, think that's all we actually have time for.
I think that's everything. Should we go? Should we go to our comments?
Yes.
Go to our comments.
Let's start going to our comments. But just before that, I think those were 3 really, really good, really interesting conversations.
We've had one hell of a hectic week.
Yeah.
But at least we've got some levity, some brevity as well to it. And I feel we've able. Do you think we're able to spin that cycle?
I think we've spun that cycle 100%.
Got rid of that rhetoric, got rid of that narrative, and we're able to talk about the truth and truth and those nuggets of information that are actually truly important.
Absolutely.
As well as we're able to talk philosophically as well. Always important to me. I just want to say, well, thank you everyone for tuning in, obviously, to this. We're now going to go to comments about what's happened.
I can never see it on the thing.
So, yeah, what you've got to do is...
I view it on YouTube, and that's where I can see it.
No, you can't see it's not in there. Go to Studio.
Why isn't it there?
I know, it's held as a spam. Go back there, turn on content. Then go to comments here. Then go to remove that I haven't responded. There we are, we found it. Then
Why is it
comments
spam?
down. I don't know, 'cause it's too long, I think.
Okay. Oh, right.
Go to comment. Ooh, feel that toasty.
Kind of. Oh, that's hot.
You with that. Very much how we edit that. Shall we relax a bit?
Let's what if we put on
let's dim the lights.
Let's do a little bit of a warmer tone.
Yes, I'll dim these lights up.
That
was much more dark. Did you turn up the brightness down
more?
I think turn it down more. Look at my screen. I'm quite nice and gloomy. Maybe open this up a little bit.
You need a little bit more. Like I can't even see your face.
Yeah, I think we're right.
A little bit more. Make it warmer.
Warm as it'll go. All right, I think this is good. We're gonna go to our we're on audience response mode.
Perfect. Hello.
Okay.
Audience response mode.
So
welcome to the. Is this the after podcast bit? The after episode?
The after party, I think. Only for those who truly care about spinning a cycle.
Absolutely.
We've only started 1 week. All right, so in 1 week we've done 120 views. Just like that.
Really? Wow.
That's really good.
Incredible.
I'm proud of ourselves, and I'm proud of people who are.
Thanks so much for listening. Honestly,
120.
Two fucking guys.
Imagine 120 people in this room listening to us talk. They'd probably be like, "What a bunch of dicks."
But
they were able to do it on their phone thanks to the wonders of the technology.
Yeah. So this comment, I'm going to scroll through it slowly. I'm not going to read it out. God, no, I'm not reading it. It's by Polyphonics 557.
Polyphonics. Isn't that a...
Polyphonics.
I believe that's a musician's artist, or at least a song. I'll put it up later.
Scrolling through the message now on the screen. If you want to read it, please pause it. Read it. It's a very good comment.
Why don't we read it?
Because they'll take about 10 minutes.
Yeah, you probably are right in that. Thank you for that.
Very long comment. Look at that.
Amazing. Thank you very much. I'm gonna say. Boil this down. What have they said though? This comment.
Boil it down. Well, hoping I give it.
Hoping I give it a good
review. Right. So the main thing was
yes. This was on our immigration video, just to state that and make it clear.
He had a lot of really interesting points about immigrants. Particularly the one about prisons. This is really interesting stuff.
Go on.
That he put. There are 87,000 prisoners in the UK. 10,000. Yeah. 10,000 are foreign nationals. And of those, 1,273 are Albanian. And that is from the House of Commons Library, UK prisons population.
We don't talk about Albanians. We always think about North Africans and Middle Easterns whenever we think of illegal immigrants, don't we?
But I think what's interesting is an eighth of our prisons are foreign nationals.
There should be.
An eighth of our population is not foreign nationals. I feel it's quite
sensible to extradite them back to the original country and face prosecution there.
It's an interesting. I mean, I want to know what it means to be a foreign national. If you've lived here for 10 plus years, then you should serve under our prisons.
Yes, if you've integrated into our society, you should. Because then it's not. It's our
society.
It's our responsibility. It's our society that failed. Because as I was saying earlier, where every time someone's arrested, it should be a solemn event of our society wasn't able to. This person wasn't able to conform to a society, or our society wasn't able to conform to this person. Obviously, it's an individual one, so it's like my phone up. Let's do my phone. Yeah, really put it on charge though because it is on like 30%. I'm fine with. I'm going to keep on talking because I'm fine with it keeping it jank whilst we're doing the after show. It's less professional, more for people who actually who want as much content as they can out of us. But it should be a solemn event every time somebody gets arrested because society failed. But if it's not us, it's not our society. It's the if it's another country's society which wasn't able to match our values by the actions of that one person, then we should deport them back to that country to then face trial there.
Yeah. It's a very interesting idea. He's got a lot of stuff here about to quote UK Parliament, just under half of Albanian applicants for asylum have travelled here by small boat. More Albanians claimed asylum in the EU than people from any other country. The UK received 13,000 asylum applications from Albanian nationals, 6,000. My question is here, though, is what's his point? I would like to know the point of that sentence.
Maybe it is to illuminate us on the fact that, in actuality, it's not North Africans and Middle Easterns who are doing it all. They're not the ones who should be to blame. Well, not to blame, but they shouldn't bear the brunt of the responsibility. When I think in my head, I should. Well,
that's a good point. Yeah, 100%.
It's definitely a point to consider because.
So one thing that he said, right, that I actually, this is like what I talked about a bit in my comment to him.
If he responds, of course, after saying thank you very much, that part we had to first start that.
I said thank you.
This is what I want. I like this. This disagrees with us. Civil, respectful, and us. We are assuming he, but probably I'm right. Probably I'm right.
We'll have to see. But we'll not have to see.
Who knows? They might respond to this.
Let's use the analogy of the Titanic.
Of course.
Where the EU is the Titanic and the UK is an overloaded lifeboat.
Yes.
How many more people do we scoop from the water before everybody in the lifeboat is lost in the process?
In that, he's assuming that the EU is sinking. There's definitely a point of view. You hear a lot in France where Brexit is a big thing. They wanted to divest from the EU as well. Right. And I believe if France was to exit the EU, I do believe that the EU would most likely crumble. Crumble, definitely.
But it's looking like UK is not rejoining, but reforming.
Yeah, I think one of the main issues with quite a lot of people believe the reason why they voted leave is they wanted more national sovereignty, more as one of the key points. That's also and also economic reasons. But I think one of the main ones is people feel culturally that England should be ruled by England, and that's understandable. Is it right to say that that having the EU be number one power means England's not being ruled by England? That's something to debate. But I feel like a lot of people feel like they buck to stop at the crown, no further. I can understand that point of view. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but see, it's interesting that you picked that point because I noticed different flaw.
Go on.
So, and by logic, I don't mean that he's wrong. I mean, like...
Wrong analogy.
No, well, there's logic. A logical statement is a set of... There's a rule that has to make it logical. And here he's definitely had a huge leap in logic.
Yes. What is it? Go on.
What about having migrants is going to sink our lifeboat? So there, the analogy is that the more people we pick up, eventually you lose the lifeboat, right? And everyone on it dies, right? Even if might not necessarily be true, but I'm not a boat expert, and I think generally that's what he's implying, right? But what about us letting immigrants into here is like putting people on a lifeboat in that it puts our country at more risk of. I think that's the logical gap there.
I think I can understand where they're coming from because I can sort of see the idea. I'm not sure if it's factual. The idea that having unrestrained mass migration will stagnate wages, because the difference between a buyer's market and a seller's market. If the people have more bargaining power, the businesses do. Because at the moment, the businesses definitely have more bargaining power than the people because they can just have anyone else because there's more people than there are jobs. But if there are more jobs than there are people, wages will increase for the common man. The middle class will grow, which is what I would like to have. The middle class to grow.
You say that, but unemployment's very low.
You don't have a
There
choice.
was more people. If there was more people than jobs, the unemployment would be way higher. There was much more.
I think it's because quite lots of jobs aren't jobs, if you know what I mean. Like at the moment, we have an issue with I like to call it the slave class. At the moment, we have the upper class, the middle class, lower class, and the slave class. And that slave class is typically migrants who come here to do Uber and Deliveroo and stuff like that. That is not. That is not something we should be proud of.
No,
we should not be proud that we import foreign migrants to ferry food for us because we're too lazy. It's not a noble thing about the UK. This is we should look back on this in shame. Like, it's modern day slavery. They're getting paid. They have the freedom to quit. They don't really, because they have to have a job. But like, I don't think we should be proud of what we're doing. Unemployment's low, but are they meaningful, proper jobs? I wouldn't want to class them as meaningful, proper jobs. You understand what I'm coming from there?
Yeah, absolutely. But it doesn't actually reduce jobs. So he kind of explained a bit more what he was thinking.
Go on, man.
So you put another big response. But one of the things is, he said, the uncontrolled immigration puts more pressure on housing, particularly partially. See, I wouldn't say definitely there.
Go on.
So I think this is what everyone forgets about immigrants, right? Is you view it like your house. Right?
You what, like my house? Sorry.
So immigration, right? Because if you said, "Can I stay here tonight?" I have to give you a bed.
Yes.
Right. You will eat some of the food.
Yes.
Right. You'll use up some of my bills, my water, whatever, toilet paper, more electricity. However, what it's really like is you saying, "Can I live with you?"
Yes.
Because what happened? I can live in a house with
the migrants aren't here for 6 months, are they?
Exactly.
They're here to stay.
So, migrants come over, yes, they take up a job,
yep,
but you need more jobs because they start using services.
Yes.
Migrants will buy a coffee, get home, need furniture, pay for furniture, you need someone to build furniture. It can create more jobs. Housing, right?
But are they?
Housing, there should always just be incentive to build more housing.
The question is, are they? Are migrants a net positive for the economy or negative? Are they taking more money from the government than they're giving to the government? Is the question we've got to see. I don't know.
No.
But if they are being more productive, then I could see that that this migration is less of an issue. For legal migrants, I could definitely easily see that most likely they are probably net positives. But if illegal migration, I'm not sure about that. It could be actually the net negative, or they're net positive, but it's so marginal, where the money that they are receiving should be given to up the amount of government money every single person receives to up their quality of life, that are native Britons or people who migrated here legally, like myself. I've migrated here legally.
But what I'm still not understanding is just this concept, though, that immigration is always flawed, is bad, isn't it? Negative. It's well studied that immigration is a positive on GDP. It is a positive on the economy. That is well understood.
I do also want to mention that GDP shouldn't be the sole factor for anything, though. Sure. Is it affecting our culture positively? Is it affecting our society positively?
See, now culture, there's arguments to be made.
That's there. Definitely arguments to be made.
Culture, there's 100% arguments, which I think we should get into in a whole section.
We should definitely talk about it in the future.
If we're talking money, which this person seems to be implying a lot, they didn't really mention culture.
No, it was very much economical.
So, person comes over here.
Yes.
Say you come over in your 20s.
Yes.
The most productive, ideal person you can have in your economy is a 20-year-old person that is happy to do more or less any job. That is the perfect little workaround, right? If you are thinking from cold-hearted macroeconomics point of view, that we don't have to put them through school.
Yep.
We don't have to put them through nursery. We don't have to care for their health when they're a child, right? By the time they're old enough that we need to start caring for their health as an adult, we need to pay for their retirement. But they've also been paying taxes that whole time. Now, I have a problem with illegal, like unregistered immigration, right?
Yes. Everyone should have some
I think we need to convert that to legal immigration. We need to open up more channels for immigrants to move here. because the illegal immigrants will then stop being illegal, which means they're in the system, which means we know how many people there are, means we have more stats on them, means they can start paying tax. If you're an illegal immigrant, you can't work, legally speaking.
Legally.
Therefore, you're not going to be paying income tax.
Yes.
If you can work legally, you're going to be paying income tax. You're going to have all these taxes that you'll be paying for, that you'll be contributing more of.
But do you want 200,000 extra immigrants a year? Do we want that?
I don't think we can stop that. And yes,
all right.
Things. I'd say yes, and I don't think immigration is in control of.
What I would like to add to your point, though, so the 20s is the most useful time of year, and we're going to, undeniably, no matter what quite a lot of media say, the majority of people who come here illegally are 20s men. They're not all women and children. Very, very, very rare. It's majority 20-year-old men. My thing is, so whenever I go to visit France, I see this sort of waves of people doing basically pilgrimages from France up to a place where they can get a thingy across. And why aren't they adding to the economy in France or any other country they travel to? Why do they have to go here? I feel like I see lots of people who normally argue it's because they get free iPhones from the government. That is a bit hyperbolic. But I can see where they come from. It's a very simplistic black and white thing of like, okay, they're already in a safe country. They're away from their war-torn world, which is what they usually claim when they come here. Why here? Well, that's personal opinion. I personally, I wouldn't mind either personally. But I feel if you were trying to evade war, you'd rather live anywhere that is in a war-torn country.
Where would you rather live? I
think it's a tough question for me because I'm 50-50 on that. I wouldn't mind living in France that much. My only issue is I want to learn the language. And people there, if they're escaping war-torn countries, I assume they have to learn the language when they get here. Because not everyone is born speaking English. I wouldn't mind speaking English or French if I was a bit better at my French. Bit of a disappointment.
It's a very good point, and it's very, very interesting because it breaks the whole thing open. Why do they? Why don't they settle in France? They're going to just stay here illegally. There's a lot of questions. That's a good point.
Another point I like to think as well is, let's say England was nuked. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have to immigrate somewhere else. Okay, to avoid the place. It's nuclear.
Emigrate.
Sorry, that's the word. Always forget that. I would say it's better for me culturally to go to Scotland, to Wales, to Northern Ireland, to France than it would be for me to move to Japan.
Yeah.
More similar, right? Hold more values. Yeah. I mean, obviously, this is happening less and less a pronounced point as the world becomes more globalized, where sort of culture becomes more.
It's still a valid.
Was it homogenous? I don't understand why go 1-2 countries across.
Maybe it's because English is the most widely spoken.
It's not. It's Chinese.
No, like as in
widely around the world. Yes, yeah. But
like the spread around the world of it, like the amount of countries that has English as their second language.
How important is that if you're trying to escape a war-torn area? Is my question.
Very.
What the fact that
as you just said, you would rather live somewhere where you could be like recognized and understood. How are you going to get a job if you can't speak the language?
Well, okay, let's say I was speaking Arabic. I'd want to stay in a country that also speaks Arabic. Or let's say I speak Chinese. I want to stay in a country that speaks Chinese.
But let's say you speak Arabic and English.
Mm-hmm.
England's a much safer country. Much safer country than any Arabic-speaking country, especially at the moment.
But it's more culturally similar. Like I'd love to. True. That's what I don't understand. I think it's because I enjoy my culture so much. I wouldn't want to leave my culture personally. I think English culture and European culture as a whole, Mediterranean, I guess you can also describe it as. I enjoy it a lot. I've assimilated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm growing up in it. I'm molded by my culture. I feel it would be a complete shock to go to a completely different culture. Very much so. And you can see there are definitely tensions between new culture and old culture. You can see that sort of happening now with differences with sort of new British people coming in, and there's a difference in culture. And I'm not too sure if how that should play out, how it will play out. I don't know.
It's very interesting. It was an incredibly, I was trying to say like astronomically. That's the word I was thinking of. Astronomically good comment.
Yes, this is the gold standard.
Yeah.
Anyone who wants to say anything, please.
And beautiful. What in the comments, and what I'll repeat here is this is literally the entire point of this podcast. It's about opposing views. Me and this person clearly disagree on immigration, but we've had, not even in person, right? But just over 2 comments they left. And we've had a conversation in which there was politeness, there was facts. You know, I've learned something.
Excited sources.
Facts. I hope they've learned something as well.
Yeah.
And there's mutual respect here. There's understanding where each other's coming from, and there's a conversation, dialogue. There's no echo chambers.
No.
There's no,
because they've come from their echo chamber into ours to tell stuff.
This person is clearly an anti-immigration person.
Yes.
I am a pro-immigration person. The mere fact that we're speaking is us breaking the echo chamber, and is us kind of spinning the cycle to find that
nugget of truth.
Nugget of truth.
I love that phrase for sure.
The phrase. We haven't used that this episode.
I think just about the end of the thing I used that.
We're using it right now.
We're using it now.
The nugget of truth has been found, I think.
I think it was very respectful, very lovely. I've enjoyed that response. And I think once we're done with this, once it's all edited and uploaded, we'll add another comment, let them know. Send them over this way.
Absolutely.
I'd love to hear more from this person. I think it was very informative.
Absolutely.
Lovely.
Absolutely. Please leave more comments. And also, if you would ever like to potentially get on the show, we can talk about that, having callers, stuff like that. Maybe.
Calling in or just having guests on, or
we can. But please do get in contact if you're interested. Please leave a comment if you're interested. Anything like that. Any topics you want us to talk about, leave a comment.
Yes. If you want to recommend topics, whether it be current news, old news, philosophical stuff, we'll give it a crack. We're not going to promise anything, obviously. Of course, we're not going to say we have to do what we say.
We will definitely read it. We are do a little skip, hop, and a jump every time we get a comment.
Yeah,
so.
I messaged him in sheer excitement of this comment. I sent it over to him. Like, look at this. It's really big. It's really like something we disagree upon.
So it's definitely not going to be forgotten.
You know what I want to say?
They're not going to be unheard.
This podcast helps me understand my beliefs.
Yeah.
I've got beliefs, and I just sort of hold them, these truths to be self-evident. If I'm going to quote, whoever was that? American dude, number 402, because very few at the time. I just have this, and even if you weren't here to sort of debate me, the fact I'm getting this out and talking about it helps me understand what I believe.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
I feel it's good to have a dialogue always. I mean, no matter if it's random people at the pub, I say, just talk calmly, rationally about your beliefs, and
100%.
You'll understand yourself better, what you believe better as well. Very much sure.
100%. Well, thank you so much for listening. To everyone, thank you so much for listening.
Please subscribe, by the way. Please subscribe. By the way. We should say that. I hate saying it, but we probably should say that.
Please subscribe. Please leave a like. Please leave a comment.
If you do, you'll be able to see us again.
Yeah, but genuinely, thank you so much for listening. If you've made it all this way, thank you, Sid, for coming here and talking to me.
Thank you for letting us do this again.
Yeah,
actually, your topic was really insightful. I enjoyed both. I enjoyed that. The first one, of course. The second one was something more collaborative. But thanks for taking the lead on that one, because I feel we've got so much complicated coming in.
No, thank you for coming up and adding the kind of philosophy element to it. That was awesome. But yeah, I think
I'm going to recommend for anyone, for any of these topics we discussed, even in passing, I recommend do your own research afterward. We think of us as just a jumping off point. I think it's important.
We should definitely say that we are not fact checkers. We may not know all the facts. Please check what we're saying. Please call us out when we've said something wrong. Our intention here is to break misinformation, not spread it.
If we're spreading it, please let us know so we can actually work on it, work on our practices as well, what we're doing wrong to make this happen. And hopefully we're
100%, yeah.
Be nothing, but eventually, give it 5 years, we'll
learn something. And we'll learn something as well in the meantime. And you'll help break our echo chamber and our own.
That's what we want.
SpinCycles. Once again, you guys can help find the nuggets of truth that time. So
officially, the spin has been cycled. End it here.
Thanks so much for listening.
See you soon.